Today, I want to welcome, and I need all of you to give a warm welcome to the woman of the hour and the woman with the power, District Attorney Pamela Price.
Thank you. As a young lawyer, I used to say, and I first want to thank all the speakers that came out today as well to speak on behalf of our community. You know, as a young lawyer, I used to say that evil flourishes when good men do nothing. Dr. King embodied this concept in his own words, which inspired me when we won this race in 2022. Okay? We won. But I would see it on my head on my wall. He said, when evil men plot, good men must plan. When evil men burn and bomb, good men must build and bind. When evil men shout ugly words of hatred, good men must commit themselves to the glories of love. When evil men would seek to perpetuate an unjust status quo, good men must seek to bring into being a real order of justice. That is the mission that we have been on since 2022. I want to take this moment to thank all of the folks behind me today, all of the speakers, and most gratefully to all of the volunteers who organized this event, but who also tried to block the paid signature gatherers from bringing us to this pass. You're welcome. And every person in our community who clapped back when they spoke ugly words of hatred and lies about me. And the courageous people who have stood with me over the past 20 months. As I work on behalf of our county, I sit at the desk of our most famous district attorney, Honorable Earl Warren. He was appointed to serve as the district attorney of Alameda County in 1925, 100 years ago. He was appointed to serve on the United States Supreme Court in October of 1953. Less than a year later, Earl Warren successfully led the Supreme Court to unanimously issue the decision in Brown versus Board of Education, which transformed education in this country and changed the trajectory of this country. On the court, Earl Warren was truly a civil rights pioneer for education, for voting rights, for marriage rights. And I read somewhere that because of his law enforcement background, he realized that low income and people of color were disproportionately vulnerable to unfair practices in the criminal justice system. Throughout his years on the United States Supreme Court, Earl Warren, former district attorney of Alameda County, was passionately dedicated to criminal justice reform. In 1961, the Warren Court issued its decision in Mapp versus Ohio, ruling that police could not use evidence from unconstitutional searches. In 1963, the Warren Court issued its opinion in Gideon versus Wainwright, requiring states to provide and pay for a lawyer for people who cannot afford a private attorney. In 1966, the Warren Court issued its opinion in Miranda versus Arizona, requiring the police to inform anyone they arrested that they have a right to remain silent and they have a right to an attorney. During his time on the court from 1953 to 1969, Earl Warren literally attacked the injustice in our criminal justice system and did his part to make crooked paths straight. things that we now take for granted. No unconstitutional searches, a right to a lawyer, the right to remain silent. All of them were inspired by the experience of Earl Warren serving as district attorney in this community, in this courthouse. Don't tell me that what we do here does not matter to this entire country. Make no mistake. We made history in Alameda County in 2022. We took a huge step forward to reform our criminal justice system. That is why the backlash came so quick and so hard. When the Warren Court issued the decision in Brown versus Board of Education, the resistance was immediate and massive. There was something called the Southern Manifesto and the Massive Resistance Doctrine, which included a law that any school that integrated would be barred from state funds and closed. In Alameda County, we are in the midst of a resistance that is more loud than massive, that is billionaire funded and MAGA inspired, that gives life to every grievance, that weaponizes people's grief and pain, that elevates division and hatred and lies, that is trying to nullify our votes and silence our voices. But guess what? That's right, Mr. Billionaire. Alameda County is not for sale. This is Alameda County. This is the home of Earl Warren and the Black Panther Party. We are the Democratic Party of Barbara Lee, who was not raised by Republicans and who does not stand with the Republican Party like some other folks, okay? As Congresswoman Lee pointed out, the voters through regular elections, not a few billionaires, are the ones with the power to ensure our democratic processes remain strong and in place. Now is the time for us to come together and work to address the real and serious issues facing our communities. Alameda County is not for sale. You could not buy a new result with a special election that would have cost us $20 million, and you can't buy this election. They spent $3 million to put our county at risk today, to overturn an election. Philip Dreyfus, $600,000. Isaac Abid, $225,000. John Whalen, $135,000. Kenneth Lynn, $100,000. Ryan Graciano, $50,000. David Friedman, $50,000. Riaz Kaplan, $45,000. What we need you to do is invest in our community. Invest your money in our community. Help Highland Hospital. Help OUSD. Fund Oakland's Department of Violence Prevention. Support nonprofits doing the violence intervention work like Youth Alive and Courage and the Urban Peace Movement and the Young Women's Freedom Center. The campaign finance limits in the November 2022 election were $40,000. All of these millionaires were able to spend more than $40,000 on this effort because there are no campaign finance limits for this undemocratic recall. And even with all of this money, the recall campaign was mismanaged and still ended up more than $700,000 in debt. Okay? I heard some of them paid themselves and didn't pay their vendors. The Protect the Win campaign raised far less, but our passion for democracy is priceless. I was going to tell you to take a minute to tell you what we've been doing while they were plotting and shouting ugly words of hatred at the Board of Supervisors. But our supporters have told you what we have been doing over the last year. What the public should know is that we prosecuted crimes at a higher rate in 2023 than my predecessor did in the previous 2 years. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. What the public should know is that we prosecuted crimes at a higher rate in 2023 than my predecessor did in the previous 2 years. We are tackling organized retail theft, and I doubled the funds that we obtained successfully from the governor's ORT grant. We are attacking human trafficking in this community with an expansive strategy in collaboration with the Department of Justice and Oakland Police and U.S. Attorney and the Oakland Mayor and other local law enforcement agencies. We are prosecuting domestic violence and advocating for a unified domestic violence court so that those cases can be resolved in a more comprehensive manner. We provide major support to the Alameda County Narcotics Task Force, and we are working to increase fentanyl prosecutions. We have expanded the scope of public accountability to address the abuse of power by law enforcement officers, public officials, and prosecutors, and addressing the crisis in our county jail. We are committed to pursuing solutions to Alameda County's mental health crisis that does not over-criminalize mental illness. We are following the law and committed and implementing the Racial Justice Act, which is the law in California. This is the way forward. We can't go back, and we won't go back. In closing, I'm reminded that Dr. King believed the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And yet he understood from his own life and his own practice that it only bends toward justice because people pull it towards justice. It does not and it will not happen on its own. In the next 2 weeks, we have to bend the moral arc towards justice. In the next 2 weeks, we have to turn out the vote. In the next 2 weeks, that is the call to action. You must persuade everyone you know to vote no on the recall. No on the recall. We cannot go back. We won't go back. Let us honor the great legacy of Earl Warren. Let us vote for Kamala Harris like Ruth Bader Ginsburg sent us. Hello. Let's vote in her honor, in her legacy. Let's stand up for democracy. Let us bend the moral arc of this county and this country towards justice. And don't let nobody turn us around. God bless you all. Let's do it again.
We got it.
DA Price! DA Price! DA Price! DA Price!